So how do you organize your own day? Like, do you live what you preach?
Sometimes better than others, because I'm human. And so that's,
Uh-huh.
sometimes my wife is the one who keeps me accountable and say, hey, you talk about vacations and time off. When are we going away and do something? And okay, honey, you're absolutely right. So we actually did, so we just got back on Wednesday from a trip up to the Oregon coast. It was absolutely beautiful.
Hey, readers and writers. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 17 of Read and Write. Today we're chatting with author Christopher Nauer about organizing your day for maximum writing. Hi, Christoph.
Hello, Deb. How are you?
Pretty good. How's your day been?
Fantastic. We got some sunshine, and a chance to go for a walk. So it was great.
That sounds awesome. We just hit the 40 degrees. Like, the high of the day is in the 40s, so our walks have kind of been nixed for the next week or so.
Oh, yeah. No, we were getting close to 70 and nice and sunny. So.
That's nice. And somewhat, that's the point where I do envy the people on the West Coast.
Well, at least then you probably get enough rain and don't have to worry about drought and water and plants dying and that kind of stuff. And fires. Right?
This is true. There was definitely at several points over the summer. We had a record year for rain this year, and there were definitely points where, like, me and a lot of people I knew were just saying, I wish we could just like put this in a big pipe and just send it to the West Coast. We have too much water. Like, the ground is saturated when you step on it. It's like a sponge.
Yeah, we would have loved to take some off of your land.
I'm sure. I mean, and I'm sure the entire Northeast would have been like, here, take it. We don't want it anymore.
Once
the world is
find a way to do that, you'll be set.
I know. Billionaire idea right there.
There you go.
So why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Okay. My name is Christoph. Now I'm originally from Switzerland. That's probably why you hear an accent. So I want to just do a disclaimer so you don't have to worry about it. One accent is from. I am a business coach and I specialize in time management. What I do is I help my clients, focus on the right things so they can really zero in on the very important things and get those tasks done, create systems and structures. So in the process, they can work less, make more money, have a peace of mind, have a life outside their business, in a nutshell, double their productivity and time off. That's what I always say. So that's in a nutshell the work I do. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into about my story. I don't want to bore our poor listeners, right?
Right. Well, actually, that was going to be a little bit of my next question. I was going to say, can you explain it, like just boil it down a little bit so the listeners understand a little bit about your method?
All right. So the key component and the most important concept of productivity is clarity. So that's what we start with. And you may know or may not know that only about 3% of people have written goals for their lives and their businesses. That's a pretty sad statistic, And sometimes we plan our dinners and vacations more carefully than our lives and our businesses. And one of the things that sets me apart from some of the other coaches is that I focus on 6 categories. That's why my business name is Balance 6. And those 6 are time and money, health and relationship, self-improvement, and higher power or spirituality. I believe that when we balance those 6, that's when we're our best. Our best as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a spouse, as a parent. It doesn't matter where we're at. That's when we are really shining. It's where we're our best. So we start with that, with clarity. Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself 6 months to a year, 2 years down the road, and get crystal clear on what that looks like in those 6 categories. Then next, we need to create an action plan. What do we need to do in order for us to reach those goals? Third, that's where we need to work on improving a skill set. And most of my clients' biggest challenge is time management or a lack thereof. So anything that has to do with time management, with prioritizing, scheduling, time block, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Time management is a learnable skill. Okay, it's not something that usually we are born with, but we can learn it. The
I agree
fourth
with that.
component, has to do with mastering or optimizing your environment, your work environment. Before COVID, people had offices to go to,
Hmm.
they got home. And so sometimes they work from home. They also had a home office. And so the life and business kind of was really fluent or can be.
Right.
And sometimes it's good to go away from where we usually work, or if we have an open door policy at work, we remove ourselves and we get much more done. So if the work
Hmm.
environment that you're in is not conducive to productivity because you're interrupted or you sidetracked, at home you always know all the stuff that should be done around the house, then it might be a good thing to go somewhere else where you can get uninterrupted focus and attention to your work.
Hmm.
But not least is mastering your psychology. If your mindset is not on the same level as where you want to go, we will not go anywhere. Like the saying goes, if you believe that you can achieve a goal, you will. If you don't believe that you can achieve a goal, you'll succeed too, because whatever you think and believe is what you will accomplish. So if your mindset, if we have a tape playing inside of us with a wrong message, the tape has to be replaced. And that's around the whole idea of mastering the psychology. So those are the 5 components of my coaching methodology.
Okay. I agree with a lot of those, but I found myself thinking, like, trying to compare your words to like my life. And with like a 4 and a 5-year-old, I'm like, where can I go to get work done? Like, I'm just trying to mentally think in my house, where could I go? I'm not sure that exists for me right now.
Yes, and your 4 and 5-year-old will grow up so fast.
I
Before
know.
you know it, they'll be gone,
Hmm.
And
And then I'll get lots of work done.
exactly, you can work as much as you want when they're gone. And I can tell you from personal experience, because all my kids, all 3 kids are grown,
Hmm.
but having that balance and being present for them is so critically important, you know,
Hmm.
because you
Yeah, it teaches them to have balance and organize their own lives, and it just gives them better life skills. I can see that.
that too, yes. And for you, as a parent, you don't want to have regrets afterwards.
Hmm.
They grow up so fast, and the time we have with them is so limited and precious. You know,
Hmm.
and if they see that parenting means you're never around, or if you're around, you're not really present because you're working, then that's their understanding of what parenting is all about. And then later on, when they have their own kids, well, what do? They copy from, because
Right.
they pick
Because
up
that's
everything
how
we
you
do.
taught them that the life is supposed to work.
Right. They pick up the good stuff and the bad stuff really well.
Hmm.
And we can't fool them. We can try as much as we try. They see right, they see right through us.
Uh-huh. So, how do you organize your own day? Like, do you live what you preach?
Sometimes better than others, because I'm human. And so that's,
Uh-huh.
sometimes my wife is the one who keeps me accountable and say, hey, you talk about vacations and time off. When are we going away and do something? And okay, honey, you're absolutely right. So we actually did, so we just got back on Wednesday from a trip up to the Oregon coast, it was absolutely beautiful. But that's so important, even if you don't have a coach, if you have somebody who kind of can hold you accountable, that can check
Hmm.
with you. Hey, are you doing what you're talking about? Are you practicing what you preach, so to speak? Uh,
Hmm.
I catch myself sometimes when things don't get done. I realize, oh, well, I didn't schedule it. I didn't block time for it. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, do like you said. Are you doing what you're preaching? And
Right.
there's times when I don't do it, and then there's times when I do. Um,
Hmm.
and the times when I do, obviously, I realize, yeah, it works. I mean, this stuff works. Um, so yes, what I do is I have a plan for every day. So I know
Okay.
what I need to do. Otherwise, if I just get up and start putting out fires, I feel very frustrated. You
Hmm.
know,
You feel like you didn't get anything done.
no, no. So I need to have a plan. I need to have a schedule. And I know a lot of people understand that, but I also need to stick with the schedule. Now that's
Mm-hmm.
a component that gets a little bit more tricky so that we don't
Yes.
give it away to others.
I understand that. I keep a like a little handheld planner all the time, and my day is booked like 5:30 to 9 o'clock every day. But it's like you feel so weird when like something like doesn't follow, like you get interrupted, and then everything else is just kind of like blown to crap. Like it's just that's the rest of the day. There it goes. Because
Yes,
then you're playing catch up and nothing works.
right. And if we allow others to interrupt our days and derail us, you know, yes, they're happy because they get what they want. And when the
Mm-hmm.
client, our clients, they always feel like what their needs and their emergency. We need instant
Right.
notification. We need to resolve it now.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do that, that means we train them to expect that. So we set the expectation. So they know now, oh, okay, Deb is always available. I don't need to make an appointment. I just call when I need something.
Okay. How do you handle that situation for yourself?
That what I do is I let the voicemail pick up,
Mm-hmm.
or really what I do is I ask them to book an appointment with me. I
Okay.
have a calendar link in my email signature, and
Mm-hmm.
so I just send them, please book an appointment. There's different time slots in there, different, half an hour, 15 minutes, an
Mm-hmm.
hour, whatever you want, and book an appointment with me that way.
Okay. I'm totally off my own list of questions I want to ask you because I'm just going off on this tangent now. But when you schedule your day, do you block off a certain amount of time a day for these emergency calls? Like always, like I don't know, late afternoon, I don't know, late afternoon or something. Like do you have that built in where you can answer these things that they think are emergencies?
Fortunately, my business doesn't have that many emergencies. And I think
Okay.
I work with clients who do have emergencies. What I talk to them about is scheduling what I call oops time. It's
Okay.
basically, oops, I don't have control over that. So
Mm-hmm.
you can, depending on an industry, like I'm working with an attorney right now, and she says there's times when she has to jump because it's really time crunching thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so if she has a schedule, back to back to back from the time she gets up to the end of the day, and this happens, that can derail the whole thing. Now, if she leaves in an hour or two open, let's say from 1 to 3,
Mm-hmm.
if an emergency pops up, she can then stop what she was planning on, what was on her schedule, take care of that emergency, and then move the stuff that she got interrupted with to that open oops time
That's
uh,
smart.
slot, you know? And so that way it avoids the overwhelm and the derailment and all that, the
Mm-hmm.
chaos that this can cause. So if you're in a business where that happens, like folks in the construction industry,
Mm-hmm.
it happens there. Um, so, people, my clients know that they tell me, sometimes there's real emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
And so we discuss ways to deal with that. So we would not really completely derail them and put them behind.
Okay. Okay. How do you feel about planners and schedulers? Are you a proponent? Do you like tracking hourly tasks, or are you more the just block off mornings for this task and I don't know, afternoons for that one?
Yeah, so this is my brain. So
Your phone
whatever,
is your brain.
yeah, whatever's not in there doesn't happen. So, and there's so many different schedulers and programs out there that people can use. The thing is, if you have to study it and learn it first, and it's complicated, then the human nature is to blow it off and not use it.
Mm-hmm.
I have clients, they like a paper calendar. It
Mm-hmm.
works fine, you know. But whatever you use, the key is to have what needs to be done, have it in there, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And especially once my clients, most of them, they have absolutely none of that stuff in place. So we start with stuff as much as, what time do you get up? What's your morning routine? I
How long
share
does it take
that.
you to get ready for work? Okay.
Right. So my morning routine is half hour meditation, and half hour on my stationary bike, shower, and then the day starts.
Mm-hmm.
So I encourage all my clients to have some kind of an opening for their days so that it's not getting up and starting to check emails and get on the hamster wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Take a proactive approach. Throughout the day, have breaks, have a lunch break. Don't sit at your computer and shuffle down some food and keep working. The productivity actually goes down in the afternoon, it does not go up.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's so put things, not only the things that you have to do for your business, but personal things on that calendar as well.
Mm-hmm.
Several of my clients, they struggle with sleep. They go, I'm going to bed. They know when they should be going to bed, but for whatever reason, they're not going to bed at the time they should. That means
Mm-hmm.
they wake up in the morning not ready to go. They're tired. And when you're tired and wake up, you're not likely to do what you
Right.
want. Right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like a vicious cycle. So we developed some, systems and to help them avoid going to bed late.
Mm-hmm.
So that because when you're ready to get up in the morning, you're already you're not
Right.
sleeping exhausted anymore.
Your brain is ready to do stuff.
Right, and your body is not telling you, we'll go back to sleep.
How do you feel about setting goals? I know I've read a lot of people who they always recommend like setting like goals that are in a series, like a daily goal, a weekly goal, a monthly goal. How do you feel about goals?
Well, goals, I think they're critically, whether you want to boil them down to daily or weekly, that's really up to
Mm-hmm.
each client's individual preference. The key is that, they have to be in writing, and all successful people have written goals and they interact with their goals on a regular basis. So for me, for instance, every Friday before I close my office, well, my home office, I look at my goals.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have to be written down, they can't be just up here. Okay.
Right.
And so see, okay, how am I doing? Is the stuff that I put down on my goals, is that happening? Am I doing that? Do I need to make certain adjustments? Make certain changes, and so forth. So interacting with your goals is a critically important part to just see how you're doing. Are you on track or not?
Mm-hmm.
I know I've met somebody a couple of times. They do it on a daily basis, which is fine. I
Mm-hmm.
think that could be a little overwhelming, especially if you already have challenges with your time.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I recommend to my clients is pick a time once a week to plan your next week. And most of us take the weekend off, hopefully. So
Yes.
one good way to do that is before you end the day on Friday, you could interact with your goals, look at your goals, and then plan your week. So by the time you leave the office for the weekend, you know what your Monday is going to look like because it's already planned, laid out, and ready to go. Otherwise, you get up on Monday and like, okay, what am I doing now? What's first?
Right. Then you spend part of Monday morning trying to figure out what you're doing Monday and the rest of the week, and that just throws off your week.
Yes, and 1 minute of planning can save up to 10 minutes in execution. And so when people tell me I don't have time for planning, I usually throw that little tidbit out there. This is stuff I learned from my mentor and trainer, Brian Tracy. I got certified by him about 3 or 4 years ago as a time management master. And
Okay.
he's he insists on that. And he says, that's how important planning is and having a schedule and a plan in place.
Okay. How do you think this applies to, well, my listenership is mainly like the indie writer crowd. How do you think this applies to their day?
Well,
I know that's a very broad question. I'm sorry. I just
no,
threw that at you.
Writers, I don't know what goes through them. I've heard that there's times when you have writer's block,
Mm-hmm.
and there's times when it just flows.
Mm-hmm. Both
And,
true statements.
and so that could be hard for them to schedule time for that, because if they have writer's block, they can sit at the computer and just beat themselves up over why is it not flowing? Why is it not flowing?
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't help.
How did you work with that when you were writing your book?
Well, that's actually a very interesting story because my coach has been telling me for years that I should write a book. And so, like so many other people, I have a master's degree in excusitis. And so, I'm not a writer. Blah, yeah, yeah. So, what
Mm-hmm.
happened is, let's see, that was about a year ago. I did a training for the person who became my publisher and book coach for her team on time management. And after
Mm-hmm.
training, she said to me, "So when are you going to write your book?" And I'm like, and so I started with my excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Well, didn't you just do a training for my team?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "And I know you said you would record it, right?" And I said, "Yes." So, okay, there's your book. And all of a sudden I was like, "Oh, wow." And so that's what it took for me to catch on, um, that that's how the book started. And
Okay.
so
Right.
now, talking is one thing, and doing a training and on Zoom and so forth is one thing, but then taking that transcription and turning it into a book is a whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, I had a good friend of mine who that's what she did. She
Okay.
was she took that content that I gave her and created the book to where it is today. You know,
Okay.
I'm extremely grateful to both these women, Joy Montgomery, who put my transcription into a structured book with chapter and all that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
to Melanie Warner, who happened to be my coach and publisher. Because of those two women, I am an Amazon bestseller. That's
That's nice.
It is, yes. I'm eternally grateful to them for that. So it's right now it's available as an ebook. I'm planning on going to the print version probably in January.
Nice. So did you do any did you look over the book after she had put it together in text format and just I don't know, I guess make sure that everything was in the right places and that it flowed the way you thought it should flow? Or did you just give full just do whatever you need to do to her?
Well, since that was her expertise and not mine, of course she would always show me what she did, and so I would
Mhm.
do it. Um, and see, that's so important. It's a big component of the work I do with my clients. The prioritizing, one of the prioritizing in the prioritizing methods, there's one word that starts with a D, delegate. And that is so critically important.
Mhm.
I know what I'm good at. I can talk till the cows come home. I'm not a writer. So I knew that her company name was Structural Integrity. So
Mhm.
she knew how to take that content, that my talk, blah 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 blah. She
Right.
took that and created structure and put it in place. And so that's what I said to her. You're the expert. I go with your advice. And then
Okay.
she said, "This is what I recommend." And then she showed it to me. And I said, "Oh wow, that looks great." You know,
Mhm.
and that's a big component I do with my clients. Delegate everything that you're not an expert in. Stick with your expertise. What is it that you're good at? What's your passion? What is it that you do best? Focus on that. And the rest that has to be done as part of running a business, delegate, outsource, hire out.
Right.
And
I can see the sense in that you know you're going to do better at the stuff that you're either passionate about or that you just have more talent for, and so why don't you focus on that and then let someone else who has is passionate and has better focus and natural talent do something else like cover art for my listeners.
exactly, And I knew that I was not a writer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
To give you an example, I share this as a story just to illustrate my point. The client came to me because his wife was upset with him for bringing work home. He happened to be a dentist. Now, most people,
Okay.
how on earth can a dentist bring work home? Well, he always came home with a briefcase full of paperwork. And
Mm-hmm.
so his wife was getting really, well, she was getting mad at him, period. That was the case. And
Right.
had a young child. And so she's like, you didn't study dental practice to be always working, so you need to change this or I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started to work together so that he could stop micromanaging and focus on the things that he really, truly, that's what he studied for. He studied to fix teeth. So I
Mm-hmm.
said, that's all you do. You don't do anything else. You fix teeth. You do what you studied and what you're good at, what your expertise is. And then you let your staff and everybody else that works for you do the rest. Now, it didn't happen overnight. Coaching is more like a
Mm-hmm.
long-term process, but
Right.
he did eventually do that. And in the process, he could add about 20 new patients to his practice. And when he came home, there was no briefcase with him anymore. That was just, he was home in time for dinner and spent time with his wife and son. So it's
Nice.
a win-win situation.
How do you feel about productivity like timers? Like, the methods that say you should. I think this might be actually maybe more common in the writing community, but you have the timers that say you work for 20 minutes and then you take a break, and then you work in it for more 20 minutes and then you take a small break. How do you feel about those?
Mhm. I fully agree with that. So, and how long those time slots need to be can vary.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that Brian Tracy teaches, it's the 90-15-90. So it's basically 90 minutes uninterrupted work on whatever it is you're working on, take a
Mm-hmm.
15-minute break and do another 90 minutes. And during that time, that 90-minute block, everything is off. Email, phone, everything.
Right.
Door locked, curtains drawn,
Mm-hmm.
clean desk, one thing on your desk that you dedicate 90 minutes to without any interruptions. And it's absolutely mind boggling how much you get done doing that. And if 90 minutes is too long, maybe do
Mm-hmm.
an hour or 40 minutes. I mean, it's just the concept of having uninterrupted time to work on something. Because if you have to stop and go completing a task, it can take up to 7 times longer to complete the task. Okay.
I could see that. Yeah. I know, at least for me, going back to the writing, I do have one of those little app timers, and it does like it turns off Chrome. Like I can only use the software to write
Uh,
and play some music. And I definitely, once you get in the habit of doing that every day, I feel like I have a higher word count just from following that every day, and then like taking that 5 minutes, standing up, I don't know, going to the bathroom, getting some tea, just getting away from the desk and then coming back. It's always fresher. It's easier to go on.
yes. No, absolutely. That is absolutely totally true. Now with writers, I don't know what it is. It could be that they feel like, okay, the juices are flowing and I cannot stop right now. I gotta, I'm just on a roll here, and they just go,
Hmm.
go, go.
Yep. There are times when I like just skip my break and just keep going, because sometimes it's not worth it to get up and lose that time where it's already fresh and going.
Mhm. Right. The key is you stay with the task that you're working on. That's
Hmm.
the key. Not, an email pops up and boom, there you go, or a phone rings, there you go, or oh, I got to do the laundry. Oh,
Right.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm my own worst interrupter. Sometimes you just
I don't know.
I'm constantly thinking of something else I should do. Um, I don't know about my listeners, but I think I've talked about it before with them, that I have a Postit Pad that if something pops up, I try to write it down and try really hard not to stand up and then go do something and just stay at the task.
Mhm. Yes, and I think that's a great approach. It's actually fantastic. If because that little thought that comes to you might be so important that you don't want to lose it or forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like,
write it down quickly and then continue with what you were
right.
working. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how important they are, but it's like buy toothpaste for the kids. Like it just suddenly pops in. Like you don't want to forget to do it, but you don't need to stop what you're doing and do that right away.
Right. Exactly. Yes. So true.
I assume maybe this is too much to something, but I assume you're a habit, or I assume you're a proponent of habits, of building habits to make this productivity day go smoother.
Yes. My motto is what we learn, we practice, what we practice, we become. And I always use this silly example, but I'm old fashioned. I learned how to drive a car with the stick shift, with the clutch and
Mm-hmm.
everything else. And I don't know how many times I stalled it and going uphill and stop and go on the hill,
Mm-hmm.
parallel parking, all that kind of stuff. Um, but now it's second nature. You don't think about it twice. It's just an autopilot. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, I believe that can happen with pretty much any skill set that you learn. Right now, for instance, my body has been trained that, 10, 10:30, 11 the latest, boom, that's it. I I'm done.
Right.
It's just done. But then anywhere between 6 and 6:30, it's like, hey, time to get up.
I know.
You know?
I was just talking to someone about that I cannot sleep in on the weekends anymore. Like, I will specifically tell my husband, I'm going to sleep in till 9. Like, you get to take the kids and do breakfast. And then 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, I'm wide awake. And it's just like, well, okay, there goes that idea.
Well, and it's funny, because I think our body just knows what we need, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can start listening to our bodies instead of trying to impose our own will upon our body,
Uh-huh.
we're much better off, you know. And yes, I'm with you. Some Saturday, I'd like to sleep in on Saturday. Well,
It'd be nice just to lay around in bed
yeah,
sometimes.
my body doesn't know the difference between Monday through Friday or Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
So yes, I definitely feel like if you can develop habits, because then it's almost an autopilot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, if okay, let's say 5 o'clock on Friday, now I'm going to spend half hour on my goals and planning next week.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, yes, it has to be in here, but eventually you just know 5 o'clock on Friday, that's it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, and that's what it is you learn something new, you practice it over and over again, and it eventually just becomes a habit. And I do believe that's a good goal to have, that something becomes a habit.
I agree. I feel like I don't know. It's November now, but when school started, my whole like habit of working just got thrown out. And I'm still struggling to like, I don't know, get in the groove of what it now looks like when I have to take two kids to school and then pick them up at separate times. It's from separate schools. It just threw off my entire day. And I'm still struggling to get back into that habit groove where it's okay, it's 4 o'clock. I know I need to exercise or something like that. Like stuff that used to be ingrained is now everything just kind of up in the air, which is why I turn to my planner and try to get everything in.
Yes. And you're absolutely right. I think that part needs to be on your calendar. Let's see, the exercise, it's important enough for you, so
Mm-hmm.
it's on there and it's time blocked for it. And nobody has a right to take that away from you. It's as important as an appointment with a client. And
Right. It's something that makes you feel better, like just something that I don't know, I think better when I've exercised. Like it just gets the blood pumping and you better writing stuff like that. But yeah, if it's important to you, I think you should make time for it in your day.
yes, and again, to illustrate that point, I like to use stories to illustrate my point, as you
Hmm.
could maybe tell. Um, the most people have never heard of me, but most people have heard of Carl Jung. Now, Carl Jung happened to be Swiss like me, and
Hmm.
we we both lived in Zurich. He had a house on the lake of Zurich. I did not, but he got a call from a very influential person who was used to get her way, and she wanted to meet with him on a Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock. And he said, "I'm sorry, I am not available. I already have an appointment." So she happens to be out on the lake that Wednesday afternoon at 2 on a boat driving by his house. And he was sitting in his backyard dangling his feet in the water. So when she got back home, she called him and was totally irate and yelled at him and said, "You lied to me. You told me you had an appointment. You couldn't see me. And you did not. I saw you. You were sitting in your backyard dangling your feet in the water."
Mm-hmm.
And Carl just very gently said, "No, I didn't lie to you. I had an appointment, the most important appointment of the week, an appointment with myself." And I'm using again this story to illustrate the point. Carl Jung understood the importance of having an appointment with yourself, of taking care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyway, so that's what I'm trying to, when I try to illustrate a point, I say, hey, if you don't believe me, listen to Carl Jung, okay?
Anything that we didn't touch on that you'd like to mention before we close up?
I also have a podcast. It's actually a videocast. It's on YouTube. So
Okay.
that has great information where people can check out. I address issues like procrastination, the good procrastination, the bad procrastination, how to overcome it.
Okay.
Episode on goal setting, on how to plan your ultimate day, time management tips, work-life balance issues, how to prioritize, and a whole slew of other topics like that.
Okay.
So I invite folks to check that out. The best way to do that is just from my website, balance6.biz.
Okay. And what's your channel name on YouTube?
It's Better Life, Better Business.
Okay.
It's also under my name, Christoph Nauer.
Okay.
And and even the book as well, all that is from my website. It's so that you don't have to really search too many different links and places. It's all in one place. So the book is available there as well, and it takes you straight to Amazon where you can get that.
Nice.
As an ebook, yeah.
Okay. And where can the listeners connect with you online? I'm
Again,
assuming the website and YouTube.
Yes, balance6.biz is the website. They can also send me an email at life@balance6.biz. At balance6.biz, they can call me. My phone number is on the website, 925.
Well, that's very brave of you. I don't think many people do that these days.
Most people don't abuse it, and I know I get, because the phone number is public, I get robocalls. But my phone is smarter than me. It says spam.
Isn't that nice these days when your phone will just say, "Oh, that's spam. I'm not going to give it to them."
Yeah. And if somebody calls and I don't recognize the number, they can leave a message and call them back. That's why there's such a thing as called a voicemail. And if people don't leave a voicemail, then it couldn't probably be that important, right?
Right. I'm 100% with you in that camp. I don't answer my phone if it's not in my contact list, if I don't know who the caller is. And then people are like, "I tried to call you." And it's like, "Did you leave a voicemail? I would have called you back."
Yeah. I mean, then you can at least say, "Hey, I'm calling you because of this or this or this,"
Right.
And if it makes sense to me, then I call them back. If somebody leaves me a message and says, "Hey, I want to talk to you about your loan. You've been pre-qualified for a $500,000 loan." I'm like, really?
Right. Or your car insurance, policy is about to expire. I'm getting a lot of those ones lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, it's the car warranty. That's what I'm getting right now.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's a good one.
I didn't know my car had a warranty.
I know my car has outlived its warranty, but
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much. You were a wonderful guest on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Deborah. Really appreciate it.
Join me next time when I'm going to talk to Katie Chonakis about creative journeys in poetry. Until then, keep reading, keep writing, and go do what you do best. You got this. Read and Write Podcast is edited and produced by Deborah Zebarth. Theme music was written and performed by Jay Hunger. Audio effects were created by Red Octopus and Black River Phonogram. Show notes and previous episodes can be found at readandwritepodcast.com. Special thanks to Christoph, Nauer, and all the subscribers who make this podcast possible.